when I did a one-on-one interview with Floyd, it was an interesting setting. It was just a couple of days before his boxing match against Conor McGregor, and earlier in the week, he posted on social media that he was going to hang out at his new gentleman's club every night leading up to the fight, and that was a bit of a you know. That was a bit of a head scratcher. Like, you're supposed to be preparing for a big fight. You shouldn't be staying out late. And so on the Wednesday before the fight, Wednesday night, my cameraman and we were having dinner, and I was like, you know what, let's go see if he's for real. And let's go see if he's actually hanging out there. And so I called his bodyguard, who's also from Canada. And I was like, is he really going every night? And he's like, yep, he's been going. And I said, I'd love to interview him there. What a setting that would be, right? Like what a story, like 2-3 days before one of the biggest fights ever. So we went, and he's like, yeah, I think he'll do the interview. We went and we got there, and we talked to the bouncer, and he was expecting us. And they put us in a room. When I tell the story, people think like, man, you got to hang out at a gentleman's club waiting for Floyd. Like, what a life. They put us in a room, like an enclosed room, like one of those private rooms. So we sat there for 6 hours waiting for him from 10:30 to 4:30 a.m. And he finally showed up at around that time. And he was out. He was like the mayor of the place. Like, he showed up with like a stack of money and all this stuff. And then he was doing his thing. And they told me like, yeah, he's not going to do it. I was like, oh man, we just waited here for 6 hours. I'm still on East Coast time. We're in Las Vegas. So I'm exhausted at this point. But, I wanted to walk away with something. So I just walked up to him, and I said, hey, Floyd, we've been waiting here a while. Would love to talk to you about, why you're doing this and the fight and all of that. And, could you just give me like a few minutes of your time? And he thought about it for a second. He's like, all right, fine. So he went up, we did the interview. And it was huge. Like, here we are 2 days before the fight. And I'm talking to Floyd at his new gentleman's club. And there was one moment in the interview where he like got a little bit fired up, where he was talking about like the MMA media was against him and all this stuff. But I sort of deflected that, and we kept going. But there was a moment where I was like, oh man, is this whole thing going to last like 2 minutes? Because it was at the very beginning of the interview. But then in the end, Floyd is a very smart man. He's a businessman. He's a showman. He's a self-promoter. And so I think he knew that this was ultimately good for him. And it got, a lot of views, a lot of eyeballs, and that was it. But there have definitely been more intimidating guys than those two for sure.